What's up, beautiful people? It's your favorite light, M Boogie in this thing. Welcome to another episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast. We got 3 simple goals. First of all, welcome. If you've never been here, I am so happy to have you. We got 3 simple goals: to educate, empower, and encourage. We are here to educate anyone who has never been in an abusive relationship, doesn't understand abusive relationships, why someone would get in there, stay in there, or even go back. We're going to find out today. We are here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share their story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment, because you are powerful, you are strong, and your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence right now, listen, you are not alone. You are not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid. And despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, there is always a way out, and we encourage you to seek support. Now, let's go ahead and hop up in this thing, because we got to rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion the confidence way, because we about to light it up. Welcome to the show. You guys are in for an amazing treat. I am so excited to introduce this amazing, beautiful, outstanding light, this joy, this energy, this coach, this inspirational, motivational speaker, this all thing amazing, Miss Christina. Welcome to the show. Pew, 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 pew.
Thank you. Hey
Oh
guys, I'm
God.
Christina.
How are you doing, girl?
I'm good. I am in beautiful Puerto Escondido, Mexico currently as we film this, and I'm here talking to you, so it's a good day.
It's a good day. It's a great day to be alive. I'm so excited. First of all, it is our privilege to have you as a guest on our show. Thank you so much for coming in and being courageous enough and bold enough and transparent to just be honest and share your story, because I know that it is going to reach the people it's supposed to reach, and it's going to help the people it's supposed to help. So thank you so much.
You got it. That's why we're here, right? Gotta
That's why
inspire everybody.
you already know, girl. You already know. So we ain't even going to waste no time. We're not going to waste any time. My first question for you is this. I know that you've been in an abusive relationship, but prior to that, had you ever experienced in any shape, form, or fashion, or witnessed maybe your parents or your siblings or grandparents or neighbors, have you ever seen or been exposed to an abusive relationship before?
That's a great question that I've never thought of before. I want to say not really, like in terms of at least what I thought my family was like. I don't think there was, there could have been, because as you know, there's a lot of shame with it and we often hide it. So there could have been, as far as I know, there wasn't. In terms of prior to, like, I'll say my biggest relationship, I don't know. I was actually thinking about this today when I was talking to a friend. One of the first people that I was ever with before I met my ex-husband, he very much said, like, women are so far beneath men. So I could see how that could have gotten to that point. But I didn't stay with him long. Like, I saw that and I was like, nope, I'm out. However, I was not that smart with the next one. So,
Oh,
I'd like to say no, but I'm not really sure how to answer that.
wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I think you did a good job. I think you did a great job, because, like you said, it
For the
could
first
be hidden.
one.
Right. It could be hidden, but you never, I mean, you didn't necessarily remember seeing it, like, especially not physical, maybe verbal, maybe not, but not, it wasn't so much, if it was present, so present that it was something that ingrained in you. So it's not like that was something. And that's the same for me. I didn't come from a background. I don't know about my grandparents, but I know my parents. I didn't come from a background of abuse and things like that. So a lot of people may think that it's a generational trauma that is passed down, or you, because you witnessed it, you're more exposed to it, or you think that it's normal. I knew it wasn't normal. I knew it
Yeah.
was right. And so I like to ask that question just so people can get an idea of everyone's story is different, and everyone's background is different. Not everyone who's in an abusive relationship experienced or witnessed abuse growing up. And it's important, because some people may be hard on themselves or judging themselves for things. And it's just like, we all make mistakes, and we all make stupid decisions. Sometimes we just keep making them over and over again. But
Yes, exactly. And
we
we're
can
all trying
learn.
to figure out life at the same time. And,
That's
some
it.
of us figure it out faster than others.
That is it. And that's what I say. I'm like, this is our first time in this body on this planet doing this life.
Hmm.
So having grace with ourselves and one another is really, really important too, as we journey through our journey and grow along the way. So your first, so far, women are so far beneath men. You know what's funny? I didn't even realize, because homeboy on this side, I remember we went to go visit my friend who was a couple, and we were going around, and I wasn't even listening to what he was saying. But years later, like now, we've had conversations about it, and
Yeah.
my friend pulled up the fact that she was like really taken aback when he had said something about Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, and he was like, Kim Kardashian just needed somebody to rule her. And I don't judge. I don't know anything about their relationship, but I don't even remember him saying that. So I wasn't in tune like you were, like to say, women are so far beneath men. That's a sign. That's a flag right there for someone to say another person needed or another person to rule them, especially a woman and a man. But anywho, we're
Hmm.
talking about him. I just wanted to put that out there because there are going to be so many flags that pop up that we ignore or we
Yeah.
say it's not as bad, and that's one of them. So in case anybody has ever heard that before, shut them deuces quick, and you're not
Yeah.
out on anything that you don't want to miss out on. Trust, trust us,
Yeah, exactly.
man. So how old were you when you met homeboy?
So my ex-husband, I was 23 when I met him.
How old was he?
Um, Sorry, what?
How old was he?
Oh, how old was he? He was 22.
Okay, so right around the same age. And I
Right around the same age. Yeah, we met on the train, and at the time it felt like magic. So it was like, oh, you meet a stranger on the train, like this is stuff you hear about in movies. But yeah,
yeah.
sadly it didn't end that way.
But tell us about it though. Tell us about, okay, y'all met on a train. That does
Yeah.
definitely sound like a magical movie moment. Like, were y'all going the same place? Like, what? Give us some backstory.
So I was in New York City at the time. I was working a trade show, so I had been at the Jacob Javits Center from like 7 o'clock in the morning till almost midnight. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go home, like setting up the trade show. The next day I had to be back there at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't even feel like taking my headphones out to listen to something. I'm just gonna listen to these two guys. They seem like they're gonna be funny. And so these two guys sat down next to me. My ex was in the middle. But yeah, they sat down next to me, and his friend was like, Lucky. And I was like, yeah, these guys are gonna be funny. All right. So I said, like, the one guy, my ex, started trying to talk to me, and I made fun of him. Can I tell you what I said? I mean,
Yes.
it's not PG-13. But so he had on like a cargo vest and cargo pants, and he gets on the train. He's sitting next to me, and he's looking through every pocket. And so eventually, when he starts talking to me, I'm like, okay, well, now that we're friends, I just wanted to let you know, like, they make backpacks, they make bags, like, you can use a bag. And he's like, what did you just say to me? I'm like, yeah, like, no, cargo pants are bitch purses. Because that's what I thought my friend had said, and I repeated it. Yeah, if you ever want to make a guy feel small, that's what you say. But he was like, oh, basically like challenge accepted. I got to be a man now. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so since that point, he had asked me out. We started dating, and we were married 6.5 years. That being said, because I figure you're going to ask me anyway, so I'm just going to get into it. Yeah, I mean, there were totally signs, and it's funny because I remember, so basically we got married in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey originally. Got
Okay,
married
wait,
in
wait,
New
wait, wait,
Jersey.
wait. Let's
Yeah.
slow down though. So y'all met on the train.
Met
Y'all
on the
started.
train.
How long did y'all date before y'all decided to, like, let's tie the knot, let's get married?
Not that long.
Mm.
Lesson learned. Yeah, not that long. We dated like at least 6 months to a year. I don't really remember. We were both young. I'm gonna say young and dumb. Needed to learn some lessons. But yeah, we were both young, and it wound up being like he was going off to the military, so we kind of needed to have things in order for the military, so that was part of it. But yeah, we got married way too quick. And it was like as soon as we got married, it was kind of like he shifted from being like this nice, helpful guy to not so nice and helpful. to the
Mm.
point of where he's like, all right, like we just moved and you don't have a job yet, so I expect dinner on the table every single night by 5 o'clock because you're not working and the house should be clean and all these things. And these were none of the rules that I had before we got married, but now we're married and we got all these rules. So that
Did
was
y'all
probably
live
one
together?
of, huh?
Did y'all move in together before you got married, or were y'all still living separately and just
So sort of. He basically like moved into my apartment almost immediately.
wait,
Yeah.
wait, 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 Christina?
I know. Young and
You
dumb. I'm telling you,
no,
like, don't
it's not you. Oh my gosh. I have to ask these questions because people just don't understand how I don't know. It's just predictable how predictable they are. I asked that
yeah.
question specifically, and you, oh my gosh, I teed it up and you knocked it out the park. When I tell you, so many people have said, "Oh, he just somehow moved himself into my place."
hmm
Like every woman who has had a place, who is on this podcast, who has met somebody, that person somehow ended up just, oh, I'm gonna leave some stuff here and there. Then I'm spending the night longer, and now I all of a sudden live with you without your permission. I'm glad you said.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, eventually he like wasn't making it to work in time because I was in New Jersey, he was in New York, wasn't making it back to New York in time. So eventually he got fired from his job. And before I knew it, I just had a guy living in my apartment with no job. But it was okay because he was going into the military soon. Like maybe a month or two later, he went to the military. So he wasn't jobless for too long, I guess.
Oh my.
But yeah, basically moved in like right away. And then, after we got married, we wound up moving out to Washington State. So I gave up like my entire like family, everything, support system, and went out. And it was just him and I in Washington. We didn't know another soul.
Mm. So did y'all move to Washington State because of the military?
hmm
Okay. Now, did you feel a little pressure when he was like, let's just go ahead and get married before I join the military so we can da da da? Or did you really feel all in like this was a united agreement that I want to be with you, you want to be with me, let's do this?
It was a little bit of both. That being said, I will say, like, he was the first boyfriend I ever had. And so for me, it was like those love blinders. Like, I had no idea about love blinders, but let me tell you, I know about them now. But those love blinders got me really good. It was, yes, it was a united front. That being said, so we got married. We didn't have a lot of time in between, like holidays when he needed to be back and everything else. So he got home like the 23rd of December. And then, you got like Christmas and all the other holidays. We got married the 26th of December, and then he had to be back in Washington State by like the 2nd or 3rd of January. So it was like that was that small window. And I remember we'd never had a single fight before, but now we had a fight on the 23rd because like I don't know, something happened with his plane. I don't honestly remember. But I just remember like we've never had a fight before, and now I'm not sure. And now we're supposed to get married in 3 days, and we've just been fighting. But I think this is just the stress of like the airplane and like the holidays. So you easily talk yourself out of these things. But yeah, so we eventually got married. I stayed in New Jersey for like another month or two without him before I moved out to Washington, and even that was like okay, I'm just gonna pack up my entire life for a guy that I just met. Essentially, at that point, it was over 6 months ago, but sometime between 6 months and a year, like I said. But yeah, I just packed everything up, and he was late picking me up at the airport. And I remember crying on the airplane, like, I hope I'm making the right decision. Like, I just literally gave up everything. And on top of that, I had to pay because the military, I'm going to say, like, jerked us around a little bit. And so I had to pay to get all of my stuff from one side of the country to the other. The military didn't cover it like they said they were going to. So I'm just like, I just gave up like all the money that I had and my support system. And now I'm going here with this guy that, yeah, I love him, but I don't know. Like, I don't know another single soul there. But I cried on the airplane. I landed. He was late picking me up. And I remember when he picked me up, well, I opened the car door, but I opened the car door and a empty bottle of alcohol fell out of his car door. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I just gave up everything for you and you just showed up. He's like, babe, can we go to Denny's? can we go to Denny's now? Is it okay if we go to Denny's? I'm like, are you even supposed to be driving? Like, do you understand? Like, I just gave up everything for you and you show up here with an alcohol bottle falling out of your car? Like, where were you? And yeah, so he was already making bad decisions then. So yeah, that
Had
was
you
my
seen him?
start. Welcome to
Okay, so
marriage.
had you seen him drinking before?
Um, Not really. But before he was in the military, apparently he was a really big pothead, and I didn't really know that because he couldn't smoke because he was going into the military. So basically, he gave up the smoking marijuana for drinking. So then he started drinking once like he was no longer smoking. So once he was in the military, he drank a lot. And it's funny because looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, he really drank a lot. Like I like wine. I still like wine. I would buy like 10 bottles of wine, like because I just had a wine rack in our house. I'd like to have it stocked up. And I remember thinking, like, I'm buying wine every week and I maybe get one bottle. Like, I'm spending so much money on wine. And like, you just sit there at night playing video games, drinking bottles of wine. And, like, it really didn't seem like that much of an issue at the time. Because again, those love blinders, they got me really good. But yeah, now looking back at it, yeah, it was a problem.
A big problem. Oh my
A
God.
big problem.
I'm so glad you keep emphasizing love blinders because you just, I mean, when you're not sure of yourself and you start entertaining someone as a potential partner, you really are just seeing all of the good or the what you think is good or the representative that they're showing you for the first six, however long they
Yeah.
put on for that. So it's important that y'all listen to this.
Yeah.
The love blinders. You got love bombing and you got love blinders. These are two totally different things. So you don't feel like he was love bombing you. You really feel like he was a genuine person, not just like overly gushing over you and making you fall in love. You just liked the person that he was presenting himself as, the authenticity that felt like was there, right?
I think so. That being said, though, like this was years before the term love bombing ever came out. So, I mean, it could have been, and I didn't know about it. And like, even still, like, I don't know, maybe last year, I was like, I asked a friend when I was dating somebody, I was like, is this love bombing? Is this what love bombing is? Like, I don't know. It was never a thing that was talked about before. So, yeah, I mean, he could have, but honestly, like, he really wasn't that good for that long. And I remember my parents coming to visit us at our first apartment out in Washington State. And my mom said something to me, and I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like, she thought like he was gonna be like abusive or whatever. And she's like, Yeah, you guys were like play fighting, and he grabbed your ankle and like dragged you across the couch. And I was like, Mom, we were just like goofing around. And she's like, No, like that's not okay. And I remember her saying that and thinking it was so weird. But like, and that was probably like year one. And we were together 6.5 years. So like she saw that. Eventually he wound up cheating and then getting violent. But yeah, when I actually told my mom's like, yeah, I figured it was gonna go that way. Like she
Wow.
knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
They always like there's always some intuition there and they know.
Hmm.
Because I mean, even on the outside looking in, when you have a friend, and that you wrestle a lot of times or sometimes if you're that type of person, if you're playful like that, I wouldn't have thought that just off of the story, but
Hmm.
there's an energy behind it, I think, that your
Yeah.
mom saw that you couldn't see in the moment. And that's wild. But speaking of your mom, so y'all meet, y'all start dating, 6 months to a year, you're getting married, you're packing up and you're moving across the country. What are your parents thinking?
That is a great question. I don't really know that I ever stopped to ask it. I mean, she was supportive. She's like, they were supportive. They're like, yeah, if you love him, like, all right. But at the same time, they were kind of like, what's the rush? And they understood, like, he's in the military. It's kind of got to be like, you get married if you want to be able to move with the person. But, if the military didn't cover the expensive anyway, like, it really didn't matter, expenses. But yeah, so it was just like, yeah, I guess they were supportive. Um, But honestly, I don't think it mattered too much to me at the time
Right.
because again, it was just like I loved him. He was the first person for me that I've ever had a relationship with. So it was like, yeah, all right. Like this is it, you know? And but yeah, like it was after I finally like told people what was going on in my relationship, like when I was going to end things because he started cheating and getting violent. That was when so many people were like, "Oh yeah, we never really liked him." Yeah. Yeah, they were like, "We didn't like it." Like my brother told me he's like, "Yeah, we were driving in the car one day, him and my ex. And he's like, we were driving in the car one day and he told me that I'm really lucky." And he's like, "Why am I lucky?" He told my brother he's really lucky. My brother's like, "Why am I lucky?" He's like, "You're lucky to be in my family." That's what he told my brother. Like, "You're lucky that I'm here now and you're here." Like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. There's
It's
a lot of egos going on. Well, my ex had a lot of ego. Granted, my brother does too, but yeah, he told me about that and I was like, "What?" And like, it was funny because everybody had a different interaction with him and they were all just like, "Yeah, no, no." And my brother was pissed when he found out. And because like my brother and I, we're not really close. Like, yeah, he's my brother, all right. But in terms of like being close and everything, we're not that close. But when he found out that he had been like abusive, he was like, "Do you want me to send people to your house?" I'm like, "No, no, I don't need you to send people to the house." Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's okay. Like it has nothing to do with me. It's done. Like, it's fine. I don't punish people. Like, he'll get punished on his own and I don't have to deal with it. So, but yeah, there were so many people that just like came out of the woodwork, like, "Oh yeah, I didn't like him. I didn't like him. I didn't like him." I was like, "Oh, well, no one told me.
no
You
one
guys could
said
have told
anything.
me."
Oh my gosh. Same here. So I'm not even going to, because he wasn't homeboy on this side. It wasn't necessarily around. He didn't have any friends. So it's just me. And then he didn't really
Same.
want me to go out with my friends
Mm-hmm.
I had before him. And so the people, like, he would never even had major interactions or private interactions with any of the people that I knew before I knew him. But once everything hit the fan and I left and I started telling people, because they're always asking, "Well, how's so and so? How's your husband?" I'm like, "Well, we ain't together anymore." And then they come out with, something about him. I didn't like him. And I'm like, wait, yeah. Not that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying, let's be transparent, not saying that I would have taken what they felt and used it to make my decision. Cause I wouldn't have. If I'm being honest, I'd have been like,
Yeah,
that's
I probably
fortunate
wouldn't have
that you
either.
don't. But to anyone who is a friend of someone who is dating someone that you just have bad feelings about, if you're really a friend, they may not listen, but at least let them know, at
Yeah.
least let them know that there's something that's off about this person, something energetically, because you're on the outside looking in and you're not, as Christina said, you don't have the love blinders on. So you can see the true character that's going to be coming through past the representative that they're putting out there for the time being. And so I just encourage anyone, family or friends, you may feel like y'all's relationship will be lost or strained. I mean, I felt like I lost my friends for a while, but after I left, we kind of, rekindled our relationship. And it's just nice to at least know that someone you trust, someone that you really trust is open enough to share with you the energy, because it's a different energy that they feel that you can't,
Mm-hmm.
or that you're ignoring.
Yeah,
So,
and you hit that nail right on the head. I'm like, energy. It's 100% about that energy because now like if I'm trying to date, I do not want any of that negative energy. Like there's certain energies that I'm like, "Nope. Oh, you have chaotic energy? No, I'm not dealing with that." Like only certain energies. And it's so funny how you see it after the fact and you're just like assuming you learn your lesson. So please learn your lessons. But yeah, no, energy is so important.
oh my gosh, absolutely. So, all right. So you move across the country. Well, homeboy, your folks are supportive and loving, which is, great had it not been turning out the way that it did. But you move across the country with homeboy. He picks you up from the airport, drunk, driving, and late.
Mm-hmm.
He starts working with the military. How long have you been in Washington at this time before the abusive, whether it be verbal or the manipulation, like when you start seeing the character come out and the representative going away?
So I feel like the manipulation probably started first. It's like either a tie between the manipulation or just like being a completely different person than from who he represented in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, like I got to Washington in February, still didn't have a job by like mid-February I got there. By March 1st, still didn't have a job. And that was when he said, like, yeah, you're gonna have to have a clean house, food on the table, like all the things. And it's like, well, not that it needed to be discussed before, but it would have been nice to. But like just certain things, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is different. And like most of the relationship that I had with him, I actually like eventually I did get a job once I got out there and everything, but I was making more money than he was. And so that's funny because it's like eventually we bought a house. I can count on one hand. We owned that house for 2.5 years. I can count on one hand the amount of times that he ever did dishes. It was twice. And we would constantly argue. And it was always the same argument. And it was, hey, can you please help me clean up the house? Like, I'm working, I was working like, I think 60 hours a week, somewhere between 40 and 60 hours a week. But I'm working 60 hours a week. I'm making more money. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. Like, he would come home, take his clothes off, and just leave them on the floor. I'm like, can you please, like, please help? Like, anything. I remember I took a picture and it was either a picture or a video. It just like summed up my life. I had just cleaned the counter and you see my ex shirtless with the toaster upside down and all the breadcrumbs falling out to the counter. And I'm like, this is my life. Like, this is what it has become. Like, I'm just constantly cleaning up after him and I've become his mother. And that was an argument too. Like, I don't want to be your mother. Like, and I told him from day one, I said, if you want somebody to mother you, do not marry me because I will not do it. Yet somehow I did, which, that's my fault too. But that one I will take credit for. Like, I didn't have good boundaries then. I've got great boundaries now. But yeah, but even then when we had our own house, actually, I guess it was before then when we had our first apartment, because I remember we got into a fight and like I threw something or he threw something. So yeah, it was way back then. It was toxic. We shouldn't have been together. But we stuck it out because that's what you do when you're in marriage. You stick it out. You don't know. You took some vows. And then I remember when we were in our house, this was probably like 2 years later, maybe after we got married, maybe 2, 3 years later. And I remember something I said like ticked him off. And he had me like arm against my chest against the wall. And he was verbally abusive for a long time, but that was when the first physical abuse probably started was back then. If you count it like how my mom did when she saw him dragging me, then it was probably even sooner. But yeah, it was just things that, you know, it it was in my mind. Even I didn't even realize this until like, I don't know, last year maybe. That for me, I was like, I don't know what it is. Like I feel like we're good for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, we haven't fought for a while, and then we fight, and then we'd be really mad, and then we'd be good for a little bit, and then we'd be mad. And personally, I kind of just thought he was bipolar because like his mom had some issues too. But now, like last year, I realized I was like, you know what? That was the cycle of abuse. That was the cycle of abuse, and I never realized it. And I've been out of it for how many years now, but I didn't realize it then. And so yeah, it can feel so simple as like mood swings. It like for me, sorry, I know this sounds horrible, but I was like it's like men get their period. It's like all of a sudden they're good and then they just have like a bad week. And then yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that that was the cycle of abuse. So yeah, learn that.
Oh my God. So much to unpack here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was tickled because you're talking about how you like, I'm not going to be your mom if that's somebody that you're looking for, but we're both working. I'm the one doing all the cleaning, and you just come home and you take your clothes off anywhere. Literally, we'll have a hamper right there in the bedroom, and you drop your clothes on your side of the bed on the floor instead of just taking a couple steps and put it in the hamper. I'm not even asking you to separate your laundry, but can you put it in the basket? No.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what she's going through.
At least yours made it to the bedroom. Mine would be like in the kitchen, in the living room. It'd be everywhere. Like,
Oh my
you
God.
know, and yeah. And I remember there was one day, this was like the straw that broke the camel's back, which is probably when things started going downhill for him, I'll say. And he told me, babe, it's always bothered me. You do an incomplete job. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, you do an incomplete job of my laundry. My mom used to wash it, fold it, and put it in my drawers. You only wash it and fold it. You don't put it away. I'm like, done. I'm done. You can do your own laundry now. I'm not doing your laundry anymore. He went 3 months without doing laundry. And he's like, babe, I decided you could do my laundry again. No, I'm not doing that. Enjoy doing your laundry. You're going to figure out how. I'm not doing it. So,
I
yeah.
decided you can do my laundry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, no, sorry. I'm not doing that. You can do your own laundry.
It's the,
And at this point, I don't know. He was probably like 25 years old. And I will say, like looking back at it, if I ever had to do it again, well, first of all, I would tell people don't get married before their 30s because people grow so much in between that time. But if I ever had to do it again, I would say don't don't have somebody that goes straight from mom to you. They need to have that period of living by themselves and learning how to do things for themselves because otherwise you will be the mom.
girl, let me tell you, it don't change in the 30s because we
Probably
were
not.
in our 30s when all this happened. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world, what are we doing? And then you criticize when I'm cleaning, how often cleaning, and if I'm doing a good enough job according to your standards. Like you tell me
Mm-hmm.
the shower should be cleaned a certain way, and the one time you clean it, it's not clean according to your standards. So it's clearly, like I've been saying this whole year, they're the same person in different bodies in different areas of the world. It's amazing
Yeah.
how they have the same thing inside of them. But man, okay, so y'all are married for 2 years, 2.5 years, and that's when the physical stuff really starts happening. And is it
Yeah.
like small things that trigger? I mean, I know you
Yeah. I
said the
mean,
cycle.
yeah. I mean, honestly, like it really didn't get bad until so we were married 6.5 years. He cheated before 5 years. And if you want, I can tell you how I found out because it sounds like a movie. It sounds like one of those crazy movies where you're like, no, this shit only happens in the movies. No, it was my life. But so basically, he was having pain in his male parts. Um, yeah, we're just gonna start there. There's no nice way of putting this, but yeah, he was having pain in his male parts. And, he had gone to the doctor. Doctor gave him a prescription, was like, I don't see anything, but if you have anything, here you go. And, like week goes by, he's like, oh, I'm still in pain, goes back to the doctor. Doctor gives him more medicine, nothing. Finally, one day he's like, babe, I'm in so much pain. Can you please take me to the hospital? I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. He didn't go to sleep yet because he's up all night playing video games every single night because yeah, that's what people do. But so I'm like, all right, I'll take you to the hospital. So I know the state specifically. March 4th, we went to the hospital, and I think this was 2019. Yeah, 2019. So March 4th, we go to the hospital. He had cheated in like October of 2018. But so we go to the hospital, and the doctor comes in, and he's like, Doc, do you see anything? He's like, no, I don't see anything. He's like, all right. Do you think it could be psychological? And the doctor's like trying not to laugh at him. He's like, I don't have any medical evidence of that. And he's like, okay. How long does it take for AIDS to show up? And I'm still like not getting it. He didn't have AIDS. It's fine. But I'm still not getting it. And I'm like, I mean, doctor, we've been together for like over 5 years. Like if one of us had AIDS by now, like we know about it. And the doctor's like, I hate to ask, but has there been anybody else? And he was like, yeah, there has been. I waited for that doctor to close that curtain. I was like, what the do you mean there's been somebody else? Sorry for all the cursing. And he's like, yeah, I love her, but I love you too. And just like, that's it. He just starts crying and yeah, whatever. And I like ran out of the hospital. I'm like, I drove. I'm like, do I leave him here? I don't know what to do. Like, I'm responsible for him, but I don't want him getting in my car. He wouldn't get out of my car after he got in the car. I took him home. I like cried in my car for the next 16 hours. Like, it was not a fun day for me. But I specifically remember that day too, because then March 6th, I had to go on a trip for work. And so I was like, it was, it wasn't a great time because I was dealing with so much stuff in my head. But it also reminded me that, okay, I can be myself. I can do things by myself. So in that sense, it was good. But yeah, that's how I found out. Um, but yeah, and even so once I found out that he cheated, and I actually knew the night that he cheated because I remember thinking, he told me, he's like, I'm going out with some friends after school because he started going to like take college classes. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I'll be home at 8. 8 o'clock comes, nothing. I can hear the train from our house. Nothing. Next train, nothing. Like 5 o'clock comes, he's still not home. I'm like, he cheated. Like, I know he cheated. And he comes in pissed drunk, stumbling into the door. And I'm like, you cheated. Like, where were you? I know you cheated. He's like, no, 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 I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat. And so I come to find out, 6 months later, all right, he did cheat. But what are you gonna do when they say no? But so yeah, he cheated. He wound up like sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I was now in terms of the place in my story. Yeah, so he cheated. I wound up finding out, and that was when he started getting more violent because he thought he was going to lose me. And yeah, you're right because I don't trust you. And so on top of him now starting to get violent, he also locked me out of bank accounts, stock accounts, put a password on his phone. And the girl that he cheated with, she was 25. She was the barista at his school. She was 25 with a 10-year-old daughter that told him, I sleep with guys, so I have a place for me and my daughter to live. How he didn't put that together, I don't know. But it's not my problem anymore. But yeah, so, now he's got the password on his phone. I'm locked out of all the money accounts. And so he's trying to pretend that everything's normal, everything's going to go back to normal. Like there's nothing wrong with our relationship, even though there's clearly things wrong with it. And so he's like, all right, let's go on a date. So he drives us to the restaurant and he was horrible with directions. So he had his GPS on for like going right down the road. And he's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So I'm like, all right. He put his phone down on the table. It was unlocked because the GPS was on. I was like, I'm gonna look at it. And so, I go to look at his phone and I see he texted that girl like a picture of like two, like a GIF or whatever they call them, GIF, of two people like slow kissing on top of each other. And I'm like, no, like this isn't okay. But I'm gonna put the phone down and I'm gonna be normal. Just gonna be normal. So I pick up the menu and I'm looking at it. He comes back, the waiter comes over. He's like, oh, do you want something to drink? And I'm like, no, because I know if I'm emotionally charged, I'm not going to drink because it's not going to be good. So I'm like, no, I'm good. And he's like, oh, come on, have a drink. I'm like, no. So he orders a drink and, I'm just pretending to be normal with my menu up. And eventually the waiter goes away and my ex is like, oh, so do you know what you want? Do you know what you're going to get? And I'm just like, nope, nope, I can't do it. I can't be normal. I put the menu down and I'm just like, I'm gonna leave. And he's like, what do you mean you're gonna leave? We just got here. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. He's like, I ordered a drink. I'm like, and by all means, you drink your drink, but I will not be here when you finish it. And I got up, I walked to the end of that street. I called an Uber. I waited like 10, 15 minutes for an Uber. Like he could have gotten home before I did. But, I was out of that situation, so it was good. I got home like maybe 2 minutes before he did. I got my keys to my car and I drove to see a friend. But in the meantime, I kind of blew up my own life, which I have no regrets about it. But in the meantime, I actually wound up, I was trying to process everything in whatever capacity I could, because now at this point, it's probably like he cheated and didn't tell me for 6 months. So things were already weird during that time. Like we weren't as connected as we used to be. He was being a little bit more violent. Then he got more violent once he told me he cheated because he wanted to forcibly keep me there. And then it was like after that, it just got worse and worse. So this maybe 3 months later after I found out that he cheated, if that, it may not have been. It probably was less than that. But I was trying to process everything because, for me, I went and I filed for divorce, but I didn't really know that I wanted a divorce, but I knew I was never going to trust him again. I'm like, I know how I work, and I'm going to constantly wonder, like, did this person that he cheat with do these things? Like, like I was going to compare myself to her, and it wasn't going to be good for me. And I knew that. But so I was trying to process all the things. One of the ways that I processed was I was just recording myself singing songs. And I actually sang 3 songs. I did a mashup, and I did You and Me Made a Vow by Sam Smith, So Good at Goodbyes by Sam Smith, and You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone, I think by Anna Kendrick. And I mashed it up and I sang it all together. And when I was in the back of that cab waiting to go home, I posted it. I blew up my life. Everybody knew. I controlled that lie that everyone thought like our marriage was perfect and all the things. But let me tell you, that was the most views I ever got. And everyone was like, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Please come over and talk to us. And like, I got support in that way, which I was not trying to get sympathy from anyone at all. I was just trying to process what was going on in my life. And yeah, it wasn't fun when I did it. And, like people had their opinions. I remember I was helping one girl in the neighborhood. Like we had moved to a neighborhood. So at this point, like we were back in New Jersey. The idea was he got out of the military. Yes. So backstory to that, I forgot to tell you. So he got out of the military. He got medically discharged, basically because I'm a really good cook. He gained like 50 pounds and his back hurt. And the military's like, oh my gosh, we don't know what's wrong with him, but if his back hurts, like we probably did something, we got to pay him for the rest of his life. So he's getting 100% of his disability for the rest of his life. Never saw combat, nothing. And like people that have PTSD don't even get that, but whatever, not my battle to fight today. But yeah, so he's getting paid for the rest of his life. Also, why he's like, what am I going to do with my newfound money? Drugs and strippers. So that's where that all came about. Because now he had money, and what should he do with his money?
This is
so anyway.
Slow down. Speed bump. Hold on. Okay.
I know, because I didn't tell it in order. Sorry.
Jeez. Okay. So he cheats. Do you think he just cheated with her that one instance? And then
no.
So you think it was an ongoing thing up until you found out, or maybe until you left?
I don't fully know, but he also told me that there was a stripper named Crystal. So I know it was more than once.
Okay. While y'all were still married?
While we were still married, yeah. He claims that he only cheated with the stripper because he said he asked the girl out from school, the one that I told you about, the barista. He asked her out and she stood him up, and then he was so upset that he went out and went with a stripper. That's what he said. I feel like that's not true, but it doesn't matter anymore. So
okay. Did he ever find out what was wrong with him?
Oh yeah, as soon as he asked the doctor and confessed in front of me, it wound up being, it was just a psychological thing. He was like causing himself pain because he had so much guilt about it. And so, we've talked about it, and not like recently, but like we talked about it then, and he's like, I was like, what's the only reason that you told me? Because you thought you'd get some relief? And he's like, yeah. Otherwise, he was planning on never telling me. So that's why he told me. That's why I found out. Otherwise, yeah, he was never going to say anything.
Bananas.
But so, yes. So after all that, after I found out, then he started trying to keep me there. Like, I remember there were times when he was like on top of me, like he threw me on the bed. He was covering my mouth so I couldn't scream for help. He had me like, he pushed me, shoved me, like a whole bunch of things. And like, I'm not saying I had it as bad as a lot of people do, because I know, like, in retrospect, I really didn't compared to a lot of people. And I'm grateful for that. And he even told me that. He's like, you can't really say I'm abusing you. Like this girl, she got stabbed by the guy and she still went back to him, and you won't even go back to me because like I was with someone else. And I'm like, abuse is still abuse. It doesn't matter like how bad it is. Like it's still not okay. And he was like, yeah, you should come back with me. And actually, like, so that was 2019. It's 2025. So that's 6 years ago. Like 2 years ago, I think he still like he reached back out to me and was like, "Hey, we should get back together." I was like, "No, we shouldn't. No, I have a great life now. I am not going back to you." And like, he doesn't know where I am either. At least, well, now that I'm broadcasting it online, he may, but it doesn't matter. Like, I'm so far past that, and it's fine and it's good. But yeah, so that was some of the things that I lived through. It was definitely not a fun time. I will say to anybody that's watching, trying to figure things out, process it however you need to. Like, if singing's the way, sing it. You don't have to post it to social media. That was just some crazy thing that I did. You don't have to do that. I also found that writing things down, like I still to this day, I basically have poetry in my phone about like how I felt during these situations. And, it's like I'm at a point where I can read it and it doesn't feel so emotionally charged. But even like, I'll say 3 years after the fact, it still felt emotionally charged for me. And it takes time. Like, it takes a lot of time. And it's not the same amount for everybody. And sometimes people can get through it faster, sometimes they can't. I will say that, I had that slip up of I got a restraining order eventually because I'm just going to give you this little clip because my ex buried my phone in the backyard.
He
But so
buried
eventually
it.
I got a, yeah, he buried it. We went, that was what I started telling you before. Yeah. So when we moved back to New Jersey to have kids by family, like that was the idea of what we were going to do. We moved into this nice neighborhood that like had a lot of people that would just get together, like good neighbors. And it was really nice because I'm like, I'd never really had friends before. And it goes back to the same thing that you were saying, like, yeah, they kind of try and keep you away from other people. But now we had it where like we would every weekend we'd go to somebody's house for a barbecue, or like once a month we'd have a girls' lunch, and it was so nice. And I'm like, I have friends. It was really good. But until that slowly got ruined because he's like, oh, Jessica's husband likes you. And I'm like, they're married. Like, okay, I'm not doing anything. He's not doing anything. Who cares? Like, it does not matter. And he's like, I don't want you hanging out with them anymore. And so, yeah, so it got to a point where he didn't want me around anybody. And then also, so we were like, before it had fully gotten to that point, we were out at an event with the neighbors, and it was like to see who was going to be governor, because the governor, the guy that was getting elected, lived in the neighborhood. So we were out, and I remember, so it was after I posted that video of me singing the songs, and this woman comes up to me, and she's like, "So is it true?" I'm like, "Is what true?" I've never met her before. And she's like, "Is it true that he's been beating the shit out of you?" And I was just like, who are you? And like, how do you even know what's going on in my life? Like, I've never met you before. I come to find out that it was my friend's whose house I went to after like I called the Uber and then took my car and went to my friend's. I found out that she's friends with the woman that owns the bar up the street that my ex used to always drink at. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like everybody knows what's going on. Like I thought nobody knew. That's first. And like, how does everybody know? But yeah, so he overheard them talking, and he had also caused a scene, and he told the girl's husband that I was just telling you about, like, you should sit somewhere else. Don't sit next to my wife. And he's like, we're at a round table. Like, it's not a big deal. We're all like just sitting here. And he's like, no, you need to go to a different table. And he's causing a scene. And then like this other woman sees it and she's like, so is this true? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my world is like blowing up. And so that night he felt that well, I think he felt like he was losing the control. So he's like, we have to go home now. So we went home, and at this point, I already knew he cheated. I already filed for divorce. He was not letting me sleep. he was just like, no, you're not sleeping. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about that. And you're going to listen to me and you're not going to do anything bad like this again and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, please, like, and he's like, who are you texting? I'm like, well, this person that, you know, you took me away from is messaging asking if I'm okay. He took my phone and buried it in the backyard so I couldn't message. And I didn't know he buried it at the time because I'm like, I'm trying to go to sleep because I have work the next day. And I'm like, it's not fair. You get paid no matter what. I don't get paid no matter what. Like, I have to be at work. And so he buried it in the backyard and he was not letting me sleep. And I remember that night, it was not a fun experience. I was like, all right, I can't keep doing this. Like, I can't. So he wouldn't let me go. I pretended. I unlocked the side door to the that would take us to the basement. Like, you could go in through the driveway. So I unlocked the side door. I ran out the front door like I was gonna like go get the neighbor for help or something. And I wasn't gonna do that. It was too late. But I walked around the block. I came in through the side door. I slept in the basement. He didn't know. And so in the morning, I snuck out of the house. I went to the neighbor and I said, hey, can you help me get him out of the house? And he was like, no, this has gone on long enough. You need to go to the police station. And because they did that, I filed a restraining order. I filed a police report and a restraining order, and that's how I got him out of the house. So I'm very thankful for my neighbors that no longer talk to me. They don't talk to me anymore. Yeah, because it was one of those things that the one girl, she was going through a similar thing with I think they're still together, her person. And she was going through a similar thing, and she actually had like a slap print across her face. I went to see if she was okay. And, you know, she's like, yeah, he gets like this, he drinks, he does this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. And at this point, like now time has passed. I'm like, I can't keep paying for lawyer fees. Like the lawyers, like I literally had a conversation at the courthouse with the lawyer. And the lawyer's like, oh, how much money do you have? Oh, you have a good amount of money saved and you don't have college debt. I'm still paying back my debt. He's like, yeah, I've got a lot of debt I need to pay. And then he goes and talks to my ex's lawyer, and they basically like stalled it. I went to court 8 times and never got a restraining order because they're over here, I'm gonna say playing games so they can get more money. And so I spent $35,000 on a lawyer and no restraining order.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So got no restraining order, and eventually I told the neighbor, I was like, I can't keep paying for the lawyer. Like I can't do it. And it's cost me too much money. We went to court 8 times, and like every time I'm telling my story and I'm like shaking, and I'm just like, I can't do it. It's not healthy for me. And she told me, she said, if you get back with him, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore. And I'm like, I'm not getting back with him. I just can't afford to have a house and pay for lawyers and like all the other things in life. Like I can't do it. And so that was when like I don't know what she said to the neighbors, but they all stopped talking to me after that. So
Holy.
I I am very much like the amount of times that I had to start over. I'm like, I can do anything now. Like I am so resilient because of all the things that I have gone through. Like I said, I spent $35,000 for my freedom. I gave him a house for free. I let him keep his Camaro for free. Like I was just like, get me out of here. I need my peace. I need peace in my mind. I am not okay. I acknowledge that and I need to be okay. And so eventually I got out of it. I was lucky enough to have my uncle. My uncle let me move into his windowless basement for a year and a half while I waited for that everything to settle. But eventually, as you know, a windowless basement during COVID, I must say, is not fun. Um, which is also why I'm like, give me outside, give me daylight, give me everything right now because I do not want to be in darkness anymore. And I was mentally in darkness, physically in darkness. So yes, I am so happy to say that I am out of it and life gets so much better. And, you know, this leads me into I learned how to prioritize myself. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned how to do all the things that really I should have learned how to do a long time ago. But yes, life has gotten a lot better. If you have any questions, because I feel like I may have skipped steps, feel free to ask.
Well, I do want to go back to the time where, okay, he buries your phone. Now we are trying to get this restraining order. You're playing an attorney. You said a year and a half. So it took a year and a half for the divorce to be finalized?
For the divorce to be finalized. At the same time, I was trying to fight a restraining order.
Even though you didn't ask for anything in the divorce, it took that long for it to just be finalized?
Yeah, I think it was more so, it was more the restraining order than well, it was a little bit of both. It was the restraining order was what I was going to court to fight each time. And I gave it up. I was just like, I can't, and civil restraints are going to do nothing. So it's okay. And that's why I went and moved in with my uncle into his basement. But part of that was my name was on the mortgage. And so I couldn't, like legally, I couldn't get another place until my name was off that mortgage. And he refused to take my name off the mortgage like he was supposed to, because he thought if he didn't take my name off that mortgage, I'd come back to him.
The amount of, like, when I say they want to do any and everything they can to control, they're going to do any and everything they can to control. That's just, it doesn't, they're going to do whatever they can to control something with your life. And you just gotta, sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and just endure it for your own peace. Like, acknowledge that I'm going to try this, but they're going to be trying to be in control of it. And it's just something you have to figure out how to manage for yourself. That's bananas, because you're on the mortgage. Was his name on the mortgage?
Yeah, we
Did
both
y'all put
were.
the house is in both of your names?
Mm-hmm.
And you said in the divorce, you can have the house. I don't want it. But you couldn't remove your own name?
No, they need both parties, and he wouldn't do it. So technically, I only spent 30,000 with the bad lawyer, and then eventually it was actually my my grandma's cousin. I don't really know how he's a relative, but my grandma's cousin was like, "You have a man lawyer?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Hire a woman, she'll get it done." So I gave her 5,000, so that was 30 with the one guy, 5,000 with the other. And my ex said, "Well, she did this, 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 and this," and she said, "Listen, I understand that you got a divorce and that it's not fun." And she's like, "And if you want to sit here and talk about it, that's fine. We can talk about it, but I will be charging you and not my client. So we can either talk about it or you can do what you're supposed to." And she got it done in like $5,000, like quarter of the time that the other lawyer took. And I'm like, yeah, if I knew then what I know now. But yeah, and then going further into it, just because this is kind of what we were talking about before the show. So I had a really good job during COVID, and eventually I got laid off somewhat because of COVID, but really just because I didn't fit in there. It was one of those, I'm going to say, high-end luxury goods companies. I won't say which one, but it was very much like the movie Devil Wears Prada, where you have to stab someone in the back to get ahead. They asked me to do that. I didn't want to do that. I got laid off. It's fine. I didn't fit in there, but I did take a $35,000 pay cut. And my boss that hired me at the time, at the last job that I was at before I quit it, um, he said, "I'm not going to be able to pay you what these big companies can pay you." He's like, "But I can promise you that you'll be happy here." And at the time, my life was missing happiness, so I took that $35,000 pay cut. And I will say, like, it was a great place to work. He was a good boss. He also became my landlord. He let me rent a place from him. And then eventually, like, I told him, like, "Hey, like, I've been here, I forget, it was like a year and a half. I'm like, I'm gonna go on, try and make that money again." And he like, so I went to, basically, he came up in an offer after I told him that, but that's because I went to the dentist and I told the dentist, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm moving to North Carolina. I got a job all lined up there." And he's like, "Well, what about your boss's counteroffer?" I'm like, "What do you mean about my boss's counteroffer? Like, I'm not asking him to counter. I already packed up my entire apartment. Like, I'm good. I'm going." He's like, "Nah, you need to go back and shake that money tree." So my dentist told me, "Shake that money tree." I went back to my boss. My boss basically, through different means, got me back to where I was before the pay cut. And that was part of, he gave me a discount in my rent. he gave me like just different things that all helped me out. Like, you know, he was like, hey, you said when you moved in here, you'd like new floors. He pulled up the carpet. He gave me laminate flooring so it looked like wood floors. He put in a washer and dryer. Like he did the things. He was a good boss. Until this day, like we still have a great relationship. I was just there like a couple months ago. I worked for him for like 3 weeks while some people were on vacation. He's still like a father figure to me. He'll still ask me all the questions. And he asked me when I was dating years later, he's like, so what's this guy do for a living? Does he treat you well? Like he asked me all the father questions. So he's a really good guy. But yeah, no, I just, you know, this is where the thing like money or happiness, like what does it come down to? So for me, it definitely came down to happiness. And so that's where I'm at today. And so now I was telling you before the show, but I'm telling everyone else now. So that leads me to eventually I got a concussion in December of 2022. I got rear-ended in a car accident. I didn't tell you that part. Okay, sorry, I see your face now. So in December of 2022, I got rear-ended in a car accident and I got a concussion. And I was like, you know what? Life's too short to keep making my boss's dreams come true. Yeah, he's a great guy, but like I need to be focusing on my own dreams, not his. And so when I got better in September of 2023, I quit my job and started traveling the world. And that's why I'm in Mexico today, because I've been traveling since September of 2023. So it's almost been 2 years, which I'm very excited about. And my life has gotten so much better since leaving my ex, prioritizing myself, all the things. And I literally went with no plan whatsoever. I was just like, okay, the only plan I had was quit my job, get to Chiang Mai, Thailand, learn to teach English. So if I run out of money, I can teach English in whatever country I'm in because it's a world recognized, TEFL certification is world recognized. So I'm like, all right, that's my plan. Until this day, I still don't have much of a plan and I'm okay with that. But that also leads me to, you know, started chasing my dreams and, you know, started traveling. And now I have this other dream of helping other people chase their dreams. And, you know, like prioritizing yourself and all the things because I understand how hard it is. I understand what it's like to be in that dark place and that you have to get yourself out of it. And it's not always easy and it's not always fun, but it's definitely worthwhile. So that's where I'm at today.
Oh my gosh, just listening to this, because I love to travel and I'm not in a position to do it like I would love to at this moment, but just to the amount of freedom that comes when you release the burden of an abuser. Oh my God. It is so
Yeah.
amazing. Like, and to be free to such an extent is like I'm choosing my happiness. I'm gonna figure it out as I go along, but I know that I'm gonna be happy on this journey. That's amazing. And
Yeah. And so,
using your
yeah.
journey to help others. Like you're using your journey and the pain that you went through, turning it and molding it into a passion to serve other people.
Yeah. So that's essentially what I want. I just want to help as many people as I can, learn how to prioritize yourself, go after your dreams because life is short. Concussions are not fun, but life is short. Like, you know, we only get one, and it's much better when you're living it with passion because passion is priceless.
Amen. I am so proud of you, sis. I am amazed.
Thank you.
Proud of you. I'm excited for everything that your journey is bringing your way and all of the amazing people you get to engage with and the people that you're going to be serving and helping along the way on their journey. This is truly, truly an honor, blessing just to be able to have had this conversation with you. And kudos to you, girl, for choosing you. Y'all hear that? You got to choose you.
Choose you.
Stop
It's a
choosing
choice.
these bums.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a choice. Happiness is a choice too.
It is.
But
It is.
yeah, so priorities, boundaries, all of that. And it's not always just boundaries. I'm gonna say this because this was hard for me to learn. It's not always just boundaries with like I'm gonna say a man if you're a female in a relationship with a man. It's not always just boundaries with man. Like sometimes it's boundaries with family. Like I find boundaries with family very difficult because you know, like they've known you at different points in your life and so they think they're allowed to, I'm going to say, try and mold you, shape you in some type of way. But it's like, no, you only get to do that when I choose, not when you choose to do it all the time. And that is definitely a hard lesson to learn. So that's also part of what I teach because it's a hard lesson.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we go, because you're so right, it boundaries, period, but especially with family, and not just with them trying to mold you, but them thinking that because we're family, they should be able to have access and they can ask you for anything, anytime. You're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell people is like, your emergency is not my priority. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that we have to remember and take a step back, because it's happened to me too. And you think that because maybe they've done so much or they always drop things for other people, you feel almost obligated to do the same for them because nobody else does it. But at the end of the day, you then put yourself in a frenzy, and now you're in dealing with some chaos that you didn't even have to deal with, simply because you're trying to prioritize someone else's emergency that isn't
Yeah.
your responsibility, in all honesty. So before we hop off of here, Christina, how can people get in touch with you if they want to follow you, if they want to get services from you? What you got to offer, girl?
So I have a lot of things. I actually have my own website. So it's gemmastery.com. So my business is called Growth Empowered Mindset. So Gem, GEM. And that's also because I spent 20 years in the jewelry industry before I quit my job. So pays tribute to that. But gemmastery.com. You can also find me like on social media at Happy Mindset Travel Girl, because I do all of that. I like mindset. Mindset's very important. I like being happy and I like traveling. So you can find me at Happy Mindset Travel Girl. I can definitely give you things for the show notes. Let's see. And yeah, I can give you my email too, but again, all that can be found on my website. And then if anybody wants to just have some things that's maybe not ready to take that first step, I also have a website where I just recommend a whole bunch of positivity things. So books that I've read to help get my mind out of a negative space, and, like some artwork and just different things that are all positive frameworks, I'll say. So that's growthempoweredmindset.com. So I have two websites. Eventually they will be put together, but at the moment they're not yet. But yeah, so gemmastery.com or Growth Empowered Mindset, or Happy Mindset Travel Girl on either TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube.
Awesome.
So
Oh my gosh. Well, y'all were in for a treat. It was an amazing experience to travel through your history and just, learn what we can learn through your experiences. And we truly, truly appreciate and honor you and all of the amazing things that you have to offer the world now and in the future to come. Y'all, this has been another amazing episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast. We got to rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion. The Confidence Way. My friend, my sis Christina, keep showing up, keep sharing your love, keep shining your light. Until next week, y'all know what it is. We gon' pew, 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 pew. Confetti, 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 confetti.